So let us start the class with a prayer. Okay, Sairam students. Today we will start a new lesson in macroeconomics. It's a very small lesson, the concept of money. So today we will discuss the concept of money. As we are common students, you know the importance of money. All the economic activities are surrounded, or which all economic activities are revolving around the concept of money. And if what is money? Money is simply a medium of exchange. For any transaction to take place, money is a medium of exchange. So it is very important for economic activity because it's a medium of exchange. All the economic activities revolve around the concept money. So today we will study more about the concept of money, the meaning of the economically, what is in economics, what do you mean by money in the actual terms. And you will also see the evolution of money. Even though it is not in the syllabus, you will see the evolution of money, how it has evolved, how it took form, took the present form. That also you will see. And in this particular unit, you will also see the money circulation, how it happens, what are the measures of money supply. So these are the things we are going to see in this particular chapter. So as I told you, money is the medium of exchange. Now, what is the medium of exchange? Money. And in India, you know, it is rupee, that is a medium of exchange. And you also know it is the basic stone or the foundation stone of all economic activities. Now, I would like to present my screen. Stay connected. I hope you can see the screen. One of you please answer. Can you see the screen, Harshit?
Wondered how money came into existence? Centuries ago, there was no money. So how did people buy and sell? It all started with the barter system. Imagine a prosperous kingdom. In this kingdom, there were people doing different types of work, like weavers, cobblers, farmers, tailors, etc. This is Kisna, a farmer. This is Manoj, a cobbler. When Manoj needs vegetables, he goes to Kisna and exchanges a pair of slippers for the vegetables he needs. Both are happy. This is known as barter system. The system by which one person could exchange goods and services produced by him with goods and services produced by another. This is called a barter system. Barter system works on double coincidence principle. Two coincidences have to happen. One is that you should find someone who's willing to sell what you want, and second is that the seller wants something that you're willing to sell. But does barter system always work? The direct exchange of one commodity for another requires direct satisfaction of both parties. Now, Manoj needs more vegetables and goes to Kisna, but Kisna doesn't need more footwear. Hence no barter takes place. Now Manoj needs a haircut and goes to Shambhu the barber. But the value of the haircut is much lesser than the value of a pair of slippers. And the slipper cannot be divided, and hence no barter takes place. Manoj needs milk, but the quantity of milk to be received in exchange for a pair of slippers is very high. And with milk being perishable, Manoj doesn't want to take too much of it. Hence, barter does not take place. Thus, the exchange of goods was not easy. Imagine the confusion. That's why the barter system gradually ended. But what was the alternative? Around the same time, metals were discovered and took over the ancient world. In the 6th century BC, the first coins resembling the current ones appeared. They were small metal pieces with fixed weight and value and bearing an official seal, which is the mark of the government who has minted them and also a guarantee of their value. The first metals used were gold and silver. In the Mauryan period, gold, silver, and copper coins were being used. King Sher Shah Suri issued a silver coin which was termed as rupiah. The Hindi word rupiah is derived from the Sanskrit word rupya, which means a coin of silver. The silver coin remained in use during the Mughal period, the Maratha era as well as in British India. After independence of India in 1947 and the accession of the princely states to the new union, the Indian rupee replaced all the currencies of previously autonomous states. After its formation, the Reserve Bank of India issued notes and coins on behalf of the Government of India. India has progressed a lot and now has many digital payment options like credit cards, wallets, online transfer facility, thus moving from a cash to a cashless society.
So you have seen the evolution of money. So we had two exchange systems. That is first one, barter exchange system you have seen in the video. Barter exchange system. And in the second you have seen what? Money exchange system. So barter exchange system is there and money exchange system is also there. The video was on, that is why it was making sound. Okay, so we have discussed, we have seen two exchange system were there in the video. You have seen there was barter exchange system and now we have the money exchange system. What is barter? Barter you have studied in your lower classes. It is commodity exchange for commodity, a C2C system. That means commodity for commodity. For one commodity, you exchange another commodity, that is known as barter system. And what is money exchange system? For exchanging something, you like one is money, you for purchasing a commodity, you have to exchange money, that is known as money exchange system. So you have seen barter exchange system and money exchange system. And this barter exchange system has a lot of limitation. That is why the need for the invention of money is there. It was there. Okay, so money has been invented because there were a lot of drawbacks with the commodity to commodity, commodity with commodity system. There were a lot of drawbacks. So let us see what are the limitations of barter system. You have already seen in the video what were the limitations of barter system. The first and the most important thing is double coincidence of want. Priyanshu, listen here. Okay, The first and the foremost thing is double coincidence of wants. For a barter economy, double coincidence of want is required. What do you mean by the word double coincidence? Double coincidence means simultaneous fulfillment of mutual wants. I repeat, simultaneous fulfillment of mutual wants, that is with the buyer, among the buyer and seller. There is simultaneous fulfillment of mutual want. There should be some mutual want. Suppose A has to exchange something to B. B should require the same thing which A is offering for. So A has what B wants. So that is the coincidence of want. Suppose you have something to sell to some another person, that the other person should want that thing. He want that particular thing. That is actually known as the simultaneous fulfillment of mutual want should be there. Otherwise, this will not, like a commodity to commodity or barter system will not work unless otherwise some simultaneous fulfillment of mutual wants is there. There should be some mutual wants. What you are offering for, the other party should need it. Otherwise, this double coincidence of wants will not happen. So that is not possible all the time. Suppose a person has to sell some milk and want to have some something like rice and rice. So the person who is offering the milk should need the rice. Otherwise, the exchange will not happen. The transaction will not happen. So that is the problem with barter system. If double coincidence of wants is not there, so this system will not work. So that's the first limitation with the barter system, lack of double coincidence of wants. Many cases, there will be lack of double coincidence, or otherwise you can say, many cases there will not be coincidence of wants. So that is the first limitation, lack of double coincidence of wants. There is no simultaneous fulfillment of mutual wants will not be there. So that is the first limitation of barter system. And let us see what is the next limitation of barter system. Lack of common measurement value. Lack of common measurement value. Now you know for a liter of milk how much you have to pay, how much money you have to pay. But it is very difficult to decide for 1 liter milk how much rice you should give. There is not a common measurement of value. So common measurement of value is, there's a lack of common measurement of value in the case of barter system. So how much wheat is to be given for the rice you have purchased? There is no standard unit for that. How much you have to give instead of rice, you are buying rice and you have to give wheat. How much is the measurement of value? How much is the measure of that? Lack of common measurement of value is not there. That's another problem of this barter exchange system. Then yet another problem or limitation of barter system is lack of standard for deferred payment. I repeat the word deferred payment. Lack of system or lack of standard. You can say lack of standard for deferred payment. What do you mean by deferred payment? Deferred payment means future payment. That means for credit transaction. When do you do future payment? It is you give credit when you purchase something on credit, you give it in future. So the payment is deferred for a future date, that is known as deferred payment. So in the case of credit transaction, there arises a problem in the case of barter system. Why? Maybe after 2 months or 3 months, the value may change. The value of rice or value of wheat may change. And even the quality will be there will be any change there will be some change in the quality also. So it is difficult. It is difficult for a deferred payment. So there is not a standard. There is some lack of standard or not a standard for deferred payment. There is no standard. That means sometimes the value may change, sometimes the quality may change. These things may happen. So there is no standard for deferred payment. Deferred payment means what? A future payment. That is credit transaction, for example. And yet another limitation that we have to see is lack of store of value. You just see, you have to, now it is very easy to store money, but you have to store grains for long period for exchange. So there may be some deterioration in quality. Then perishable item cannot be stored. So store of value is also a problem with barter system. So with all this, I mean, due to all these limitation, there came the invention of money, a common medium of exchange. And you have seen the evolution also from earlier we were having, even we started from the shells, cowrie shells, then metallic money, then we had like a copper, gold, and all precious metal we had, then we came to paper money. So the money has come to it has invented to remove all these limitations or remove all these problems. And what are the limitations? The limitations, first of all, we have discussed there is lack of double coincidence of bonds, and the second one is there is lack of common measure of value. Lack of common measure of value means it is not sure that for 1 kg rice, how much quantity of wheat you have to transfer. There is no standard value or common measure for that. So that is lack of common measure of value. And the third limitation is lack of standard for deferred payment. So if you want to make a future payment, there is some lack of standard. How much at that time value may change, quality may change, how much at that time you have to exchange, how much quantity you have to give. There is no standard for deferred payment also. And another limitation is lack of store of value. That means it is difficult to store all these commodities. And because in barter exchange system, you have to exchange commodity for commodity. It is a C to C system. So these are the limitation of what? Barter system. Okay. Now let us see what is you have seen now the limitation of barter exchange, and you had seen two system. One is barter system, and the next is the money exchange system. Now let us see. I'm going to share something with you. I hope the screen is visible. The PPT is visible for you. The slide is visible. Method of exchanging goods and services in the economy. The methods of exchanging goods and services in the economy. There are two methods that we have seen. One is barter system, and the next is exchanging using money. That is the money exchange system. First is barter system, next the money exchange system. Barter system. Barter system. Money was invented. Before the money was invented, people exchanged goods directly for other goods. This way of carrying out exchange is called barter. That is goods for goods. Commodity exchange for another commodity is known as barter system. There should be double coincidence of bonds at this context. There should be some double coincidence of bonds. That means each trader had to have something the other wanted. So each trader had to have something the other wanted. As I said, if A has wheat and B has rice, then what happened? Then it is difficult to decide okay, we are discussing double coincidence of bond. That is, A can exchange goods with B only when A has what B wants. So only when A has what B wants, then only this will happen. That is known as double coincidence of bonds. So that is one of the limitation with barter system. So it's given in a funny manner. Heart surgeon might accept only certain goods. Okay. Why money has invented? You know why money has invented? Because always double coincidence of bonds were not there. And you have seen many evolution, shells, coins, gold coins, okay, all these in different forms. Now money has some characteristic like money has durability. But you know the commodities, they don't have any durability. But money always have durability. Then money has portability also. That means can be shifted from one place to another. Take money with them. People can take money with them. But the objects carrying the wheat, rice and all, It's not possible. So it has portability. Money has portability also. What is divisibility? Money can be easily divided into smaller denomination. For 5 rupees, 10 rupees, smaller denomination. That is not always possible with commodity, which cannot be easily divided into smaller denomination. Suppose a person is exchanging cattle or a cow for purchasing another product, there is no divisibility because cattle were exchanged in barter system. So divisibility is there with money. Then uniformity. Any two units of money must be the same in terms of what they can buy accuracy because the values are uniform. The values of money are uniform. Then acceptability. Everyone must be able to exchange the object that serves as money, for example. Money has wider acceptability. Money has limited supply. What do you mean by that? Here it means that we can't have money, I mean, as much as we need. That means there is some limitation for the money. I mean, that money you can have. There is some limitation with money. So to be useful, money must have a limited supply. If the supply is more, there will be misuse of money. So these are the characteristics of money. There is durability, portability, divisibility, uniformity. It is widely acceptable, and there is limited supply. We don't have money. If we have unlimited supply of money, there is no value of money. It will become worthless. That's the meaning. That is why there is limited supply. There is not unlimited supply of money. Okay. So these characteristics of money. So this was the slideshow. Okay, now coming back to you. So you have seen two methods of exchange. One is barter system of exchange, and the other one money system of exchange, money exchange system and commodity exchange system you have seen. And also you have seen the limitations of barter system. You also have seen the limitations of barter system. You have seen four limitation like always it is not possible. There is, I mean, double coincidence of bonds. That is lack of double coincidence of bonds, the first limitation. Second one, lack of common value, common measure of value. Common measure of value is always not there. Then lack of standard for deferred payment, DEFFERED, deferred payment, then lack of store of value. So due to all these limitations, there was a need for money. So money, you know, money is a medium of exchange, and the definition of money goes like this. The definition of money is anything which is generally accepted as a medium of exchange. So keep in mind the word medium of exchange. So money is a medium of exchange, measure of value. It has some measure of value, it has some store of value, and means of standard for deferred payment. So I said money is something which is accepted as a medium of exchange, which has some measure of value, which has some standard for deferred pay, because I mean the barter system, they don't provide us particular, I mean, uniform standard for deferred payment, but money provide you the standard for deferred payment, and also money has a store of value. So all the limitations are being rectified, or all the limitation has been solved in with the invention of money. So money is simply a medium of exchange which has some measure of value, which has some standard for deferred payment, etc., and which has some store of value also. Three things it has store of value, it has some standard for deferred payment, it has some measure of value, and it's a medium of exchange. That's the definition of money. Now we will see what is money supply. When we hear the word money supply, what comes to our mind? What is the money in circulation with the public? Not only with the public, with the banks, with any financial institution. What is the money in circulation? So we will study what is money supply. Money supply means, what is money supply? the total volume of money. So money supply is the total volume of money held by the public. Total volume of money held by the public at a particular point of time in an economy. So when I said at a particular point of time, you must be remembering the terms I had told you, stock and flow. Stock and flow. I had taught you the difference between stock and flow. Stock is something which is like at a point of time you are measuring it, but flow is something which is happening, which is continuing. So here it is a stock concept. So money supply is actually a stock concept. That is, what is money supply? Money supply refers to the total money which is held by the public at a particular point of time. As I said, at a particular point of time, it is a stock concept. So what is the money held by the public at a particular point of time? That is known as the money supply. Okay, so it is the money held by the public. And there are some measures for money supply. There are some measures. You have to study 4 measures for money supply, which goes like M1, M2, M3, and M4. So these are 4 measures of money supply. So there are 4 measures, M1, M2, M3, and M4. These are the 4 measures of money supply. Business like it's a various method of, measuring the money in circulation. That's all. Under various category, the calculation of money supply will be different. That's all. So there are 4 different types of money supply measures like M1, M2, M3, and M4. So let us see what is M1. You can write what is M1. M1 is equal to the currency held with the public. The currency and coins held with the public plus demand deposits with commercial banks plus other deposits with RBI. It will be better if you write. So M1 means currency and coins held with the public, demand deposit with commercial banks, and other deposit with RBI is coming under M1. That is the things which comes under M1. So it is a question which can be asked for the fill in the blanks and all. So what are the things measured or coming under the category M1? Under this measure, the currency and coins held by the public for sure, that is the money circulation, plus demand deposit of commercial bank. What do you mean by the term demand deposit? Demand deposits are those deposits which should be repayable on demand. That means if I have some deposit in my bank, when I demand for it, they have to give it. So I give a demand today, so I can withdraw it. Okay, so demand deposit have high liquidity. That means whenever you want, you can withdraw it. So it has high liquidity means, you have studied in accountancy also, high convertibility into cash. It has convertibility into cash is better. It has convertibility, it can be easily converted into cash. You just give a demand to the bank, yes, you just go for withdrawing it, fill a withdrawal form, you will get it on the day you demand it. So it should be paid on demand. So that is equal to money because it has high liquidity. So under M1, the measure M1, what are the things included? Currency and coins to the public plus demand deposit with commercial bank plus other deposit with RBI. And deposit with RBI is also high convertibility into cash. Deposit with RBI is equal to money. Okay, so these are the 3 main components under the measure 1, that is M1. I hope you have understood. The 3 components are M1 is equal to coins, currency and coins held with the public plus demand deposit with commercial bank plus other deposit with Reserve Bank of India. It is also called narrow money. It is called narrow money because it is highly in liquid form. It is also called narrow money. So in this context, I have told you what is currency and coins held with the public. That means the money you have in circulation. Okay, the paper notes, coins held with the public, that is known as the currency which is held by the public. And what is demand deposit also, I told you, the deposit which the bank should repay on demand. Okay, and other deposit with RBI. These three constitute the first measure, that is M1. I hope you have written it. And the second measure is M2. The second measure is M2. So M2 is the summation of M1 plus, so it's an extension. With M1, something else is added, then it will make, what will be made? M2. So M2 is M1 plus deposit with post office saving bank. If you have any, I mean, not if you have, so whatever the total deposit people have in the post office saving bank, that will be added with M1. Then the next measurement will be given, that is M2. So M2 is M1 plus total money deposit in the post office saving account. Okay, in the post office saving bank. So post office have different schemes. So of that, what will be added with M1 plus what will be added? Saving deposits with post office saving bank. What deposit? Saving deposits. Please keep in mind the word saving deposit with post office saving bank. So M1 plus saving deposits with post office saving bank is the measure 2. That is M2. Now we will come to the next measure, that is M3. What is M3? M3 is M, not M2 plus. It is M1 plus. Write it. M3 is M1 plus net time deposit with bank. M1 plus net time deposit with the bank. So here actually it is least liquid. That is why we have not added the saving account. We have added the time deposit. It is time deposit. What is the difference between demand deposit and time deposit? Time deposits, you have seen now 2-3 terms. Time deposit you heard from me. Saving account, you have saving account, or saving deposit you have heard from me. Time deposit you have. What is the difference between all these things? Now I said M3 is equal to M1 plus net time deposit with bank. What do you mean by time deposit? Time deposits are those deposits which can be withdrawn only after some period, like 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, accordingly on which particular terms you had invested it. Before that, you will not be able to withdraw it. Those deposits are called time deposit. So it is not that liquid. So the least liquid measurement is M3. M3 is the least liquid measurement. M1, I told you, it is the most liquid one. It is the narrow money. But when you talk about M3, what is being added to M1? Term deposits are added. Net time deposit or term deposit, which can be withdrawn only after a particular period of time. That means it has not that much liquidity. It does not have that much liquidity as time deposit and saving deposit has. Okay, so it is some kind of hard money. So with M1, with the first measure, what is being added? The net time deposit with bank is added. That will give you the measurement 3. That is M3. Now the last one, M4. If you write it, you will understand it better. For M4, M4 is M3 plus. You know what is M3? Now M3 plus total deposit with post office saving bank. What do you mean by total deposit? All the kind of deposit, whether it be time deposit, saving deposit, term deposit or time deposit, all the kind of investment with the post office saving bank. If you add it with the term M3, you will get M4. So M4 is M3 plus all the deposit. I mean total deposit with post office saving bank. But there is an exemption. We don't take NSCs. That means National Savings Certificate. So post office have an investment facility. They issue national savings certificate for 25,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees like that. Okay, they issue some certificate. That certificates are not included. It is exempted with some maybe some reason. Okay, that is the only exemption. Otherwise, all the total deposit with the saving bank is included in saving. I mean, in post office is post office saving bank is included in M4. So I repeat, M4 is M3 plus total deposit with post office saving bank. So here you have seen four measurements of money supply. So money supply has four measures of money supply. These are known as measures of money supply. You have seen M1, M2, M3, and M4. Okay, so M1 is now try to remember M1 is the coins and currencies held with the public plus demand deposit from with commercial bank, which can be withdrawn on demand. That means high convertibility. Demand deposit with commercial bank plus other deposit with RBI. So that is the measure M1. It's also called narrow money, which is the most liquid one. And what is M2? M2 also include with M1. What is added? Saving deposit with post office saving bank. Yes, saving deposit. Just remember the word saving deposit. Saving deposit with post office saving bank is also added to M1. Then you will get M2. And what is M3? In M3, least liquid item is added. So with M1, when we add net time deposit with banks, net time deposit with bank, that means you have some fixed deposit with banks and all. People have some fixed deposit. That's also in the money in the bank. That is also was in circulation. That is also added to find out the money circulation. The total term deposit, time deposit, it's also called term deposit because it is repayable only after a fixed period of time. So that is also added with M1. Then you will get M3. So M1 plus net time deposit with bank added, you will get M3. Now, what is M4? M4 is M3 plus total deposit with the post office saving bank. That will give you M4. Okay. Wait for a minute. Let me check the. Next is money exchange system. To system of exchange you have to see. Then you have seen the limitations of barter system, and then you have seen the introduction of money. What is the definition of money, and what are the particular properties of money? It has store of value. It has a uniform standard of measurement, and it is useful for deferred payment. All those kind of things you have seen. So then the last topic you have seen is different measures of money. How can you measure the money supply? So in that context, you have seen M1, M2, M3, and M4, and that is for, equation also you have seen. Okay, and I have an exercise question for you that I will put in the group. in the WhatsApp group, and you are supposed to do it. I will put how calculate M1, M2, M3, and M4 with the given particulars. I will put this homework in your WhatsApp group. Okay. So please wait.